Oh, hey everybody, check it out! Brook is back, that's right, it's the Soul King. He rides again, hashtag free Brook, am I right? I listen to you guys when you're talking about me. You guys said you wanted me to bring him back, and I decided, no, that's bullshit, we're not bringing him back. Alright, hey everybody, Tekking here. Get the fuck off my bed. Alright, we're gonna be doing a theory video today, and this is probably gonna be the shortest theory video I've ever done, simply because the premise is really simple itself, and there's not a whole lot for me really to delve into and get all analytical. I'm mostly making this video because if this theory is confirmed to be true, which I feel like it is, going to be in the Wano Kuni arc, I can then look at this video and say that I called that shit and then do a funny dance. So, way to go, Future Matthew! You are awesome at predicting stuff! It's kind of like what I did with the, Kenpachi video, when I predicted what Kenpachi's Bankai was going to be like a year before he used it, and then after that everyone was like, whoa! And so, yeah, I mean, other people have come up with this theory too, I'm not the only one, but it's always nice to have visual evidence. Okay, so, the premise of the theory is really simple. So, the Daimyo of Wano Kuni, the Wano country, where we're going to be going very briefly in the One Piece story, who is Momonosuke's father, Odin, and who was like the master of Kinemon and Kanjuro and Raizo, who kind of gave them their mission. He was apparently killed by Kaido and the Shogun when they had their takeover of Wano Kuni, and Odin's last words were to open up the borders of Wano, and he kind of entrusted Kinemon and Kanjuro and Raizo to not only watch over his heir, Momonosuke, but also to be like the last bastions of hope to save Wano, and that's why they're so dedicated on their mission. Yeah, the general premise of this is that Odin is actually going to be alive, and not just alive, but also we've seen him before, and it took me a while to connect the dots here, just because this happened like years before like Kinemon was even introduced. This happened back during the Fishman Island arc, but I'll just skip right to it. There was a cover page during the Decks of the World serial. Remember that? Right after we got back from the time skip, there was a cover page serial called Decks of the World, where we just looked around the world at the different parts like that have changed in 2 years. Like, we get to see what like Johnny and Yosaku were doing in the Kokoyashi village, or what Impel Down was up to, like Hanya Bell was the new warden, you know, stuff like that. Well, the most interesting one by far was when we got to the Twin Capes, and we get this cover page. We get Crocus hanging out there, and Laboon is in the background. He's still got the Straw Hat logo that Luffy badly painted on him. But then we see another figure who's sitting opposite Crocus. We don't see his face, but we see he's dressed in a interesting garb. We see him in a striped kind of kimono sort of dealy, and we also see him wearing a casa hat. And they're drinking sake, and they're seemingly to get along with each other. Now, at this point in the story, when this cover page was released, we didn't even know that Kinemon hasn't even been introduced yet. I think this was even before the Punk Hazard arc even started. So we had no idea about really samurai, other than the samurai that were already revealed, like Ryuma, who didn't really have much tied to it. So we had absolutely no idea who this was at the time. There was simply no way of us knowing. I originally thought, honestly, it was Shiki. Shiki, the golden lion who appears in the movie Strong World. And you know, the only reason for that is because, you know, the kimono looks kind of similar. You know, you got you got the general striped pattern there, and his hair also looks kind of crazy in this. It's kind of long, which Shiki's hair is actually a little bit longer, a lot longer actually if you look at that. But he was the only character that I could maybe see, you know, in that setting next to Crocus. That would also be kind of weird though, when you consider that Crocus and Shiki, they were on opposite crews, they were enemies. So I don't know if they would just be chilling out having a freaking cup of sake, but that was the best I could come up with. But that doesn't make any sense, because Shiki doesn't wear a casa hat, and also Shiki has the wheel jammed in his head from his fight with the Roger Pirates that one time, that injury he has, so he couldn't even wear a hat even if he really wanted to. I think that was just me trying in vain to try to fit Shiki somewhere in the story, because Oda has come out multiple times that, yeah, Shiki's existence is canon, but I don't think the events of Strong World itself with like Merville, I don't think any of that is canon, but him actually existing and breaking out of Impel Down, like that was all real. But anyway, it's not Shiki, okay? It can't be Shiki. So then we get the information about Odin, how it was revealed that Odin was not only the Daimyo of WANO, not only is Momonosuke's father, but is also was a member of Roger's crew. Not only a member of Roger's crew, but he was actually one of the members that we know of that made the journey to Raftel. So Odin, Rayleigh, Roger, and Crocus are the only members so far that went to Raftel, and they know the exact location and what the One Piece, the ultimate treasure, really is. Shanks and Buggy were on the crew, but I'm pretty sure they didn't make that trip. Inuarashi and Nekomamushi were also on Roger's crew at one point, as well as Whitebeard's, but they never made that journey. So there's only 4 that we're aware of that confirm that knows where the One Piece is. Kaido, being a Yonko and being also aware of this information, essentially tortured Odin, trying to get the information out of him on where the One Piece was located and stuff like that. This critical information, and it was also the reason why they were probably so dedicated in trying to find Raizo. How Kaido's crew was going out trying to find Raizo, the ninja, and that's how why he attacked Zou. Odin did not inflict the burden of that information onto his followers. So he didn't actually tell Momonosuke or Kinemon or Kanjuro or Raizo about anything involving Raftel or the One Piece, because they would probably be, targeted. If they, less people that know about that, the better. But we don't get to see a scene with him dying. We get to see these flashbacks. Well, not really even flashbacks. We get just to see whenever it gets brought up during Zou, whenever Odin's death gets brought up, and Kanjuro and Kinemon explain to the Straw Hats that Odin is Momonosuke's father and that he is killed. You have these moments where they're remembering something. They're remembering the death of Odin, and they're having this scene where someone is boiling Odin alive, and that's the joke, how they're boiling him alive and putting him in boiling water, and that's Odin noodles, like that's the joke they were making, but they were killing him while they were making that joke, so that's why, you see Kinemon and Momonosuke crying here. We do not know the context of this scene. We don't even know exactly who killed Odin, if it was Kaido who did it, or the Shogun, or maybe both. That's not really important. What's important is we don't actually get to see the scene itself of, Odin being lowered into a pot of boiling water. For all we know, that scene there with them grimacing, that means they heard what they were saying, but they didn't actually see it. They might have been out of sight, and they might have heard, oh, we're killing Odin here. I have a few theories for this, actually. Number one, they didn't actually kill Odin, and it's something else. The memory is going to be placed in such a way where it's like that's not actually what happened, or perhaps Odin escaped or something like that, or far more likely it was actually a body double, considering this is feudal era Japan that we're going to go with here when we get to Wano. That's the basis for the country. The idea of having a body double wouldn't just make sense. It's pretty much a guarantee that the higher-ups in that nation would have people like that. Go read Kingdom if you know what I'm talking about. Kingdom isn't Japanese, it's Chinese, but it's the same basic premise, You want to make sure to have body doubles for your emperors and for your lords in case they get targeted. That's what they're there for. So that would make sense. If there was a body double of Odin that was killed by Kaido and the Shogun, they thought that Odin was dead. Meanwhile, Odin managed to escape. Now, the reasons for this could be any number of things, but I really can't see any other character that, that would fit the bill for being this character that Crocus is hanging out next to. I mean, it clicks in so many ways when you look at this. His outfit is reminiscent of the stuff that the samurai wear. He's wearing a Kasa hat, which was already stated to be something very indicative of Wano Kuni. Remember when Ace gave the Kasa hat over to Oars Jr., and he was like, I learned how to make these in the Wano country, and that's one place that they're only supposed to be really known how to, people wearing them around as a casual, hats. That's where the location of them are. So that syncs up, and then you have Crocus there exchanging a friendly bottle of sake with him as if they're good friends, which we know that Odin was on Roger's ship. Crocus was also on the trip during the journey, so I think that just all clicks together, Odin manages to escape from... Now, the only issue here is that Wano is located in the New World, and that the Twin Capes, which is where Crocus is located, is on the other side of the world, basically. basically, or very nearly on the other side of the world. But I think we can excuse that depending on the time frame here. Basically, what this cover story was doing was showing the world after that 2-year time skip. So right around the time that Luffy and the crew were getting back together at Sabaody and making the journey to Fishman Island, this is what's going on in the other parts of the world while the Straw Hats are doing that. So we have this scene here, which has probably been several weeks, if not over a month or so since that moment. Timelines in One Piece are screwy, but I think it's fair to say that from the events on Fishman Island all the way to now on the present, onto the present current storyline, we're talking about at least a few months or so have passed since then, or at least a few weeks. Give me something here. And so we don't exactly know the time frame also on how Odin died. We know that Odin was apparently killed by Kaido and the Shogun working together, overthrowing and ruling Wano. And then Kanjuro, Kinemon, Momonosuke, and Raizo all escaped Wano. Their first stop was Zou, where Raizo stayed. And then after that, it was Kanjuro that was captured at Dressrosa. Eventually, Kinemon and Momonosuke make it to Punk Hazard. And that's where they meet up with the Straw Hats, where Kinemon gets disassembled by Law. He eventually gets his body back together. They reunite with Momonosuke, who ate the Smile Fruit. And then they go to Dressrosa to rescue Kanjuro. And then they go to Zou to meet up with Raizo. So, for all we know, though, that, this could have taken place, Odin's death and their journey could have began well over a year ago, for all we know. It probably did occur during the gap between the time skip, but I just want to try to figure out, okay, Luffy and the crew managed to make it from the Twin Capes all the way to the other side of the world, the Red Line, in only a span of just a few months. The first half of One Piece, up until the time skip, that is less than a year. So I don't think it's that unlikely that Odin could have managed to get from Wano to the Twin Capes, which would make sense why he would go there. He would want to, okay, I'm going to go to find an old friend, which, whatever. Rayleigh was on Sabaody, but maybe he didn't know the location of that. But just in the case of this, I think it has to be Odin. I don't see any other person this could possibly be, unless something else is dropped on us later on where we find out it makes more sense for another character that to be. But yeah, I'm pretty sure about this. Amongst all the other theories I've had, I'm pretty sure about this, because I'm looking at the context here. We don't actually get to see. I'm sorry, take oars off there. We don't actually get to see. Odin dying. We don't even really get to see a silhouette of him getting dunked in a giant vat of water or a vat of boiling water or anything. It's just this very obscure flashback that Kinemon and Momonosuke are having, and it's just dialogue only. They're remembering voices that they heard. They're not remembering something they actually saw. So there's nothing. They totally believe he's dead. Kinemon and Momonosuke. Momonosuke believes his dad is dead. And perhaps one of the reasons that's why Odin maybe set this up, for them to be really dedicated and trying to, maybe Odin realized, I can't do this. Odin's probably getting on in years. He's probably around the same age as Crocus and Rayleigh. Maybe he was leaving it more to the younger generation. Maybe he was doing it because of something like maybe he wants his son to grow up a certain way and pick up the torch or something like that. I don't know what Odin's objectives are. But for one reason or the other, maybe he felt like you guys have to think I'm dead, so that maybe this is like drastic times call for drastic measures. Opening up Wano and defeating Kaido. This is going to require a lot of effort, so you guys will behave and act as if I am dead, so that will motivate you to maybe getting this done, because I could not. With that being said, we might not actually get to see Odin in the story because he's at the Twin Capes. Maybe he can make his way back or something like that. Or hey, better than that, I would like to just maybe see they cut over to the Twin Capes where we get to see Crocus and Odin. Or something like that, where it's revealed that it was Odin and that he is alive. But yeah, given the fact in One Piece that, don't believe anyone's dead unless we've seen their body, and if it's not in a flashback. This was technically in a flashback, but we didn't actually get to see it, so yeah. And people have been brought that up because I don't believe Kuina's alive. Technically speaking, we did see Kuina's body. We saw a dead child's body covered with a cloth. With Odin, we got nothing. We didn't get a silhouette. We didn't get his body lying this. We didn't get to see him dunked in water. All we get is a vague line of dialogue about someone talking about how they killed Odin, but not actually anything beyond that. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have. I can't really stretch it out any longer. I'm pretty sure that this is Odin in this cover page. He's going to reveal to be alive, and I really can't. More information to follow once we actually get to WANO. But yeah, I'm pumped for this. I'm really pumped for this. Totland will be wrapping up soon. We'll have a brief inter arc called by Reverie, like maybe just like a few chapters to see what Reverie's doing. But then after that, we jump right to WANO, already in progress probably, because Law and Inurashi and Zoro and Usopp and Frankie, they're already all on Robin. They're already on the island, and shit's gonna get Kanemo and Kanjuro over there. Yeah, they're already on the island, so they're probably getting into wacky antics right now. Like Zoro is probably getting lost in the middle of this weird feudalistic tower pagoda thing right this instant, and he might be attacked by ninjas for all we know. We just don't know. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video anyway, and let me know what you think about this theory below. Yeah, signing out. Love y'all.